everyone, welcome back to Hope for Today. I'm glad you're joining me today. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, first of all, we're going to be in the book of Philippians. We're going to be in chapter 4, and we're going to do this over the next couple of weeks. I want to break this down a little bit. We're going to do something, I'm very practical. I need plain, I need simplistic, and I need practical. I always tell people I'm a burger. I'm not a filet mignon. I like something I could eat almost every day, and a plain burger you could eat every day. Filet mignon is like that treat once in a while. But to me, life is very practical, and I need practical in my life. So we're going to go practical and simple and just dive into Philippians chapter 4. And we're going to do this in a few verses at a time, and then we're going to piggyback onto each one and build onto this. I hope this really helps you. I'll tell you, I have heard this voice my whole life growing up, and we have been talking, you and I have been talking about giving thanks in everything. And it was quite interesting, some of the emails and the feedback I got from some of you who are struggling with some heavy-duty issues and trying to find a place to say thank you in that. I get you. And I want to tell you, I'm so proud of you. You all know who have messaged me. I'm so proud of many of you I've never met, but I call you my friend, that you are trying to take a stand for the Lord, and you are trying to do the right thing in a time that is very difficult for you. And if you've asked me to pray, some of you have specifically messaged me, DM'd me, emailed me, or put it in the comments that you need prayer. You need to know, before I comment back, I always pray first so I don't forget. So you are prayed for, and the Lord knows what's going on, and He's right there. So today we're going to be talking about ditching negativity. Oh my word. If I have a pet peeve in life, I have several, but I think my number one pet peeve, or it's really close to number one if it's not number one, is negativity. I would say I grew up in more of a, I don't know if it was negative or just sort of a downer type of atmosphere a lot, with extended family and just personalities and things like that were in our family. And here's the thing. I remembered my dad suffered from depression for a while, and I remembered the one thing, he would hang his head, and when you would talk to him, he'd say, "Don't speak any negative to me. I can't cope with it." And the older I get, I find that I'm turning into my dad. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I am. I'm turning into my dad. But I'm just tired of negativity. You can go to church, and you could, now, let me say there's a difference. There's a difference between, "Hi, how are you?" and you are legitimately going through a struggle, and as a friend to a friend, you're saying, "I'm not really good. I'm really struggling with this," and asking the Lord for wisdom, and I'm just at a loss, and that I can handle. Versus, "Hey, how are you?" "Well, the weather's this, and politics is that, and blah, 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 blah." And having somebody just go on a rant about all the things they disagree with in life. That's negative. Not the fact that you're going through a bad time and you're saying, you can hear in the person, their testimonies coming out, and they're relying on the Lord, but they're struggling and they need some encouragement. That, to me, is not negative. That's a fact of life. That's a friend reaching out. So just so we, you and I are on the same page and we get the difference. So let me go and read to you in Philippians chapter 4. We're going to be in the New Testament. For those of you that are maybe fairly new to the Bible, there's an Old Testament, there's a New Testament. The Old Testament is the front part of the Bible. The New Testament is the latter part of the Bible. So you're going to go to the book of Philippians. You're going to go to chapter 4. Verse 1 reads, "Therefore, my brothers and sisters, you whom I love and long for, my joy and crown, stand firm in the Lord. In this way, dear friends." Then we're going to jump down to verse 4. "Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice." Then we're going to jump to chapter 4 still, but in verse 5. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Now we have to go back here, and the Apostle Paul was in jail when he wrote this. And you and I, at least I don't think any of you out there, are sitting in a jail cell. Now, the jail cells back then versus to what they are now, you don't get your 3 square meals back then. You don't get a clean bed and clean sheets and a hot shower and medical care and, all the rest. What our prisoners get now is, you can be a human being in a jail cell, and you're going to be taken care of. Your basics will be taken care of. He was beaten. He was probably laying in jail with, scars and sores and wounds and headache and, no proper bathroom, I'm sure. And, he was beaten up by the guards, and who knows what food he was getting, and the smells that were coming out of there, and the mice and the rats that probably lived there. I mean, I can just imagine these were not posh jail cells. And he's sitting in that, and he's saying, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. I had to really take a deep breath and say, Lynn, Wilson, you think you have it bad? And you can't rejoice in the Lord with the, small problems that you have in life compared to what other people have or compared to what he had. And he was going through traumatic stuff. We've talked about getting through trauma, and many of you, not many, but some of you maybe have either been through or are going through trauma counseling. He never had trauma counseling. He had him and the Lord. That was all he had. But can you imagine the trauma he was feeling in this jail? And yet he says, rejoice in the Lord. The verse before that, my brothers and sisters, he says, stand firm in the Lord. Stand firm. We got to ditch this negativity. We've got to ditch it. So stand firm, rejoice always, and again, I say rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. He's telling us some practical advice, some practical tips. I can go to church and I can ask people how you're doing, and you can get anything from or they go into a rant about how they feel about something they saw in the news or politics or wars or, rumors of wars or whatever. The list goes on and on. The prices of food. Again, there's a way of saying it. You and I could talk and say, oh yeah, Thanksgiving, ooh, a bit pricey this year. The cranberry sauce was doubled in price, or, whatever the case might be. Versus that heaviness that you bring to the table when you say, oh, the prices, world's coming to an end, and heavy. We've talked about that too, in how we present ourselves and the heaviness that we can bring. Versus there's one way of talking and there's another way of being negative. How do we ditch it? We rejoice in the Lord. How often? Always. And again, I say rejoice. Just like the Bible says in all things to be thankful. Can I be thankful for the raising prices? Can we be thankful for the president that we have? Can we be thankful for the mayor in your local town? Can you be thankful for the house you live in? Can you be thankful for the car you drive in? Could you be thankful for the job you have? Are you thankful for the family and friends you have? Are you thankful for the finances that you have or that you don't have? Oh, right? That's tough. Now, am I thankful for the high prices? Well, I am thankful that I'm able to still feed my family in spite of those high prices. I'm thankful that I have learned how to be a smart shopper and live on a budget and how to make lots of food from leftovers and be creative. And I'm thankful that I know how to make pretty much a meal out of anything that's in the refrigerator. I can make a meal out of. That I am thankful for. The high prices, not so much thankful for that and not that happy about it, but I am thankful that when I go to the grocery store and I pray before I go, that the Lord guides and directs me to sales or clearance prices and things where I can afford to still feed my family 3 good meals and some snacks every day. We're not starving, we're certainly not undernourished, and we're doing okay. it's a lot of the attitude, right? Maybe you need a checkup from the neck up, and an attitude adjustment. And maybe you need to find a better place. Your headspace is in a really bad spot right now. I have found of late, between work, yes, I have people that I work with that are very negative. I have people in my church that are very negative. I have people just in my life that I rub shoulders with that are very negative. And I was in a place the other day and I said to my son, I need to tweak something because I'm just ready to And I had to pray because I was surrounded by a lot of negativity in about a 3-day span. Not that I asked for it. I walked into it and got hit with it, one thing after another after another. But I did pray about it. And you know what? When I got done praying, end of the day came and my son said, how you doing? And I said, you know what? Nothing's changed. I'm in the same circumstances. I'm rubbing shoulders with the same people. But when I prayed about it, God gave me some practical advice on some things that I can change in my own life. Now, was I the one doing the wrong thing? Not really. In these circumstances, I felt like I just happened to walk into it. But he still gave me some practical wisdom that I can apply to my own life to make some changes. Now, can I change the people, the circumstances, and the places that I need to be in currently? No. For now, none of those things can change. But what I can change is me. I can change my perspective. I can change my attitude. I can do some of these. And the Lord gave me some very specific. I don't know when you talk to the Lord. But I need to get a pen. I need to get a pen and a paper ready. And when the Lord talks to me, I'm like, okay, shoot. And I'm writing down because that's how specific he gets with me. I don't know if it's just because he knows that's the way my brain's wired. But boy, he gave without putting it out there, he gave me exact directives to follow. And I was like, thank you, Lord. Wow. And I said to my son, they were very practical. They were very simple. But these changes can make a difference. Again, it's not going to change everything. I still have to be with these people, live, work, rub shoulders, do things with these people on an everyday life situation. But I can make enough of a change to help me get through it and to ditch that negativity in my life to the best of my ability. So, what did we learn out of this? Stand firm in the Lord. Rejoice always. Again, I say rejoice. And let it be evident to all that the Lord is near. He's near to you. He's in your life. And people can look at you and say, man, even with all that junk, that person has a smile. That person's walking with joy in their life and they're rejoicing. Why? Because they've given it over to the Lord. So you got to come back next week. We're going to be talking about craving peace. Do you need peace in your life? You got to come back next week. That's what we're going to be talking about. For today, you need to ditch that negativity in your life. You can't ditch your surroundings, the people you're with, and the circumstances, but you still can ditch the negativity and do some practical things that the Lord has told us right here in Philippians, as well as committing it to Him in prayer. All right, we'll catch you all next week on the next podcast.